There's only one reason why they're doing this, and it's for political gain, or what they imagine to be political gain, to appeal to their base. Alaska is already a red state, so it's not clear to me that that's going to switch many votes there. And it doesn't make economic sense, and it surely doesn't make environmental sense. So that what you're left with is a quixotic political gamble that could have disastrous impacts on the planet.
And we have seen that even oil companies themselves have been distancing themselves from these types of projects and rather increasing their investments in renewable energy. So in terms of the timing, is this purely about the election, or is this something that's already been in the works?
Oh, no, it's purely about the election. And frankly, I'm terribly sympathetic with the oil companies and the bankers who support them. Like, why would you go into this area when you don't even know how much oil is underground? The last and only, the first and only test well was in the 1980s, and it came up, let's call it hopeless, or not very positive. So if you're going to spend millions, tens of millions of dollars for what? You don't know what it is. That's a gamble that they shouldn't want to take. And frankly, the oil energy companies have started to move rapidly towards a different kind of economy. The Trump administration, therefore, is a 19th century gamble that the fossil fuel will continue. It won't, and it's making a huge mistake.
So then if some countries or companies were to be interested, who would be the likely frontrunners in this sort of opportunity?
Well, it seems to me that it's not going to be the big ones. They're already made their commitments, and the financial supporters that they enjoy have already indicated publicly they're not interested. So if it's going to happen, it's going to be a smaller wildcat operation, but where they're going to get the financial capacity to do the work that's required even before you drill, to build the infrastructure, to build the roadways, to build pipelines and other kinds of things. It's beyond me. I think this is a publicity stunt on the part of the administration that has no bearing on the realities of the oil realities in the United States.
Now, we did see U.S. Interior Secretary David Bernhardt saying the administration's oil and gas leasing program is going to create thousands of jobs and mark a new chapter in American energy independence. What's your take on that?
Well, it's laughable. The real key to America's energy independence is renewables, solar, wind, and others. That material is here now. It is cheaper for us to do. It's already creating the jobs, great many of jobs, and that really ought to be what this administration pivots around. That it can't tells us something about its politics, and that's why Joe Biden has been able to attack this administration on exactly those issues.
So then what does a project like this do to local economies and communities?
Well, were it to happen, and that's a huge if, it would have a pretty drastic impact on the indigenous communities of the northern part of Alaska. It would have a profound impact on the migratory animals, the caribou, for example, and other wildlife that are up there. And it's not going to create the jobs that the Department of Interior and the state of Alaska desire. So much of this work is now automated that the numbers of bodies that would be employed would be solely in the construction period, and after that they would evaporate, as happens in Texas and Louisiana. So I'm baffled by this sort of boosterism because it's vapid.
And just quickly, if you could explain the correlation between global warming and the risk involved in drilling in the Alaskan Arctic.
So the quick answer is we should leave oil and gas in the ground so it does not escape up into the atmosphere as fossil fuels all do. The more that we release of methane and other greenhouse gases, the warmer the planet becomes, and that produces this accelerating climate change. And for those of us in the United States West experiencing heavy firestorms this year in the last 5 years, that's a perfect consequence and thus a result of why we do not want this